All right, Kevin back with you again for another episode. And this is going to be cool today. This is going to be really cool. Glen, welcome, man. And thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Kevin. So great to connect, mate. It's been too long.
I'll tell you, this, I was thinking before we hopped on, we go back a long ways. And I still remember there was this gal. I'm drawing a blank on her name, but she had tried connecting me with you years ago because she was like, man, Kevin, you should really talk with Glen because you guys could collaborate together. And then I was at David or at one of Yannick's underground events. And you were at that event. And David Gonzalez and a group of us had all gone out to dinner that evening. And that's where you and I met in person for the first time and stuff.
I remember that.
And
that was like, because that was my first time I ever spoke on a big stage. That's why I remember it very clearly.
Oh, okay.
It was 2011 or 12.
Something like that.
So, dude, it's at least 10 years ago.
Yeah. Time flies,
wow.
Man. Shit, now I feel old, Glen. See what you just
Wow. Isn't that crazy?
And so, yeah. Well, I'll tell you, this has been cool because, yeah, man, we've been friends ever since. And then, when I started doing these live events I started off doing the first couple of them at my home back in 2017. You came to the second one I ever did. And I remember, doing those initial couple events and because my buddy Tim was like, Kevin, how come you've never held an in-person get together for all these amazing entrepreneurs that you know? And I'm like, I don't know. I just never thought about it. He's like, well, you should, man, because I'd want to come. And when he just put that bug in my ear, and then when I started reaching out to people like you saying, hey, I want to do this thing. And you're like, yeah, that sounds good. I'm in, man. Kev, I think you have some great people there. And then you told me that when you looked at the list of who was coming, you're like, Kev, this is really weird because I know a lot of people and I don't hardly know anybody coming to you.
I know. That's why I came. It's absolutely true. I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I don't think I knew anyone.
You didn't know anyone? Wow.
I don't think I did other than you and Alex. I was like, oh my God, a room full of people I've never met. This is amazing. Right?
and I'll tell you, those initial couple events, I had a little bit of imposter syndrome going. I'm like, holy shit, look who's sitting in my damn living room, man. And we've gone through a lot of personal growth since then, for sure. And but today, I am really excited to have this conversation with you. And what I want to do is start. I want to set a little bit of context. So I want to open the floor and let you talk a little bit about what you guys do, who you serve, what motivates you personally, Glen, to do what you do, and just kind of give people a little bit of context on who Glen Ledwell is. We'll just start there.
So, serial entrepreneur, only ever had one boss till I was about 19 years old. Started my first business at 17. Too many things to go in there. Everything from advertising, direct response marketing, nightclubs, event companies, everything you can imagine, alcohol manufacturing. Anyway, until I found the online world 15 years ago. It was head out of the sand. Oh my God. This was in 07. Mm-hmm. And it must have been in 06 because I started Mind Movies, my main company, in 07.
Okay.
God, geez, doesn't it fly? 15 years ago. That's a personal development company. Anyway, I could go on and on. So that's the biggest focus of my time. I'm the co-founder and CEO of that. My business partner and ex-wife, who we're still like that. For anyone who's wondering, we separated 8 years ago, but we're like that. We're great partners. She's the face of the company, and I'm obviously the CEO. A branch off that, so that's really, I'm the guy behind the scenes. Branch off that, we have a couple of brands, Abundant Entrepreneur, where we serve beginners coming into the space, particularly out of the personal growth world. And I have a brand I created a few years ago called JV Hacking. And, as you know, Kevin, I built my entire business on joint ventures. So through a bit of pressure, my partner, originally Goldsborough, for years, he was literally at me for 6 years. A few years ago, I wrote a book with him, created a course, created automated software. So I actually am the face of something now. JV Hacking, which we're just actually, I partnered with a movie company and along with Mike Filsane with Group Digital, and we're launching the Digital Marketing Revolution, the movie, on Monday. This awesome. Is going to be, this is, and I know this is what Mike said. I'm like, that's a bit much. This is the secret of the online marketing world. It's phenomenal. I've seen first cut, second cut, the whole thing now. Anyway, that's a little bit of a plug there. Yeah, look out for that. So that's kind of under the umbrella of My Movies, the main company, and then completely separately 8 years ago, because as you know, Kevin, I've always been a mastermind junkie like you.
Yep.
I started my mastermind called Flight Club, which is extremely high end, specifically only for online entrepreneurs. We combined super cool tactics, incredibly cool people, and a lot of fun, which, you know, Kevin, is pretty much my personality. I keep getting told, well, your personality, right?
I can attest to that.
So that's always been my very fun passion project. As much as I absolutely love the other businesses, I really do. Don't love being the face of things, to be honest.
Huh?
But I love the marketing. I love the strategy. I love running companies and building companies. But, you know, Flight Club's my people, you know, so that's the thing I really enjoy. We meet a few times a year, and you know, lots of my peers, lots of my mentors are in my group, you know, and as we talked about earlier, Kevin, like it's surreal to me.
Yeah.
The people I look up to pay me money to be in my group, to have access to the other incredible people. So that's been an incredible journey over the last 8 years. As well. And yeah, I mean, there's a few other things, but man, I could go on. We haven't got that much time, so I think I'll just leave that bit there unless you've got any other questions.
No, that's really good. And I'll tell you, there is no hiding your passion for any of what you just explained. You know, I mean, you are, I mean, you and I are really similar in that regard. We just both love what we get to do. It's pretty dang awesome being us, Glen. Because I mean, you know, I mean, seriously though, because when we are so passionate, we just love what we do. Like you said this to me before we started recording, you know, because your group, your Fight Club has grown a lot in the last few years. And when I asked you, you know, why do you feel that is? It's because you're like, because I just started sewing into my people. I care about my people, you know, and you know, when
it's not rocket science, is it? We just forget sometimes.
That's right. And you know, we got, when we take care of us, we can be at our best to serve those that we want. And I, you know, man, I mean, kudos to you. That is awesome. That is awesome. So okay, so now that we've got a little bit of context here, I'm gonna shift gears. I'm gonna reiterate the question for the benefit of everybody listening. Have you ever been introduced to a person that completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person? And
yeah, you know, when you mentioned that to me earlier, completely changed the direction of my life. I don't think I have one of those.
Okay.
But man, do I have too many to mention.
Yeah.
That have been, you know, when you're just thinking about it, like, you know, like I could say, you know, who's been, I could say my father in so many different ways, but not, I don't think in the aspects as we're talking about in business, but outside of that, coming into the internet marketing world. Now, to give you some context, I was 39 years old, a year before I'd never turned a computer on. So to say I still can't type, I'm absolutely handicapped with technology. So come into the online world, and I was exposed to Frank Kern, mass control. So I can't pick anyone, but Frank was my first mentor. And Jeff Walker and John Walker, his brother, who I've been friends with since a year after that, basically. Jeff's program, product launch formula, completely launched our company. Okay. So there was a few factors. The Secret came out, which was a timely thing, which was huge in the personal development space. I saw the opportunity. I learned about this thing called product launches. mass control. I found this mentor, Frank Kern. He knew all these others. I followed Jeff Walker's stuff, become close friends with John Walker, who we're still really good friends today. He's been in my mastermind group from the beginning. So I would say that was really projected me for the first 5 years. I just did more of that, become a sponge. We had very, very quick success. As I said, I didn't know anything about the internet. So what can I do? Talk to people. Similar to you, Kevin, just building on joint ventures. So that was that first part that got me through there. And then somewhere in those few years, I met a guy, I know you know, Roland Fraser. He's obviously part of Digital Marketer now, War Room. Roland, I've been friends with since before he was even partners in Digital Marketer and War Room. And that guy has given me more advice. And even today, he's the busiest guy in the world.
Yep.
We probably see each other. He's in Flight Club and I'm in War Room. We've been doing that. What a good relationship we have. But I give so much success to him. I could give you individual things, but he's and I'll say it to him out loud. I say it to him all the time behind his back. He's the smartest person that I've ever met. And it's like, I know a lot of things about a few things, but it's like he's kind of like the dad you go to when you don't know what to do. Stuff like, doing a buyout, selling your company, structuring deals, I felt like I was pretty good at that, not even at this level. So I give Roland, and still do give Roland, as one of my overall best mentors I've had. And look, today I could give you so many. Michael Same is one of my closest friends in the world. And he's a genius. He's a genius. He's a software developer from the beginning, one of the most natural genius marketers on earth. And he's built a SaaS company. Can you imagine? So, and half the reason I'm spending the winters in Florida is because he's there. So the last 2 years, particularly, him and I have spent days and weeks together. And of course, what do you think that's done to our businesses? So right now, today, he is probably the most influential mentor, even though we're best friends and whatever. It's like, and we're doing projects together, but he's the one right front of mine right now at this moment.
The whole thing with this podcast and doing all these interviews, which like I was sharing with you before we start recording, has been one of the most rewarding things I've ever done, because the goal for this was always twofold. One, to let people like yourself share your story, your experience around this, and then honor somebody who's had such a profound impact on your life. And then for the listener, which are also entrepreneurs, founders, CEOs, to just motivate and inspire them to place an intentional focus on creating more real, rewarding, meaningful, and of course, profitable relationships in their lives. And, this conversation has definitely led to all of that happening. And so I really appreciate you for that, Glenn. I'd like to dig in just a little bit deeper to this. So you can go wherever you want, but talk about one or two things that have really stuck out in your mind, whether it was with Frank, whether it was with Jeff and his brother John, whether it was with Mike, Roland, whoever. What is one or two big things that have come to pass now that for a fact would have never happened if not for those people in your life?
Or that thing, you mean?
Or that thing, yes.
And again, I can't even particularly say, I can think of half a dozen.
Yeah.
Unbelievable lessons, which one of the mentors, or was it a different mentor it came from? As you know, I've been in personal development for years before that. So, I've always had a positive outlook, but you can only know so much and learn so much. But I would say a few things, like starting out as the entrepreneur. Like I said, it's, we all start out with, if I'm speaking to someone starting a business, we all start out with, imposter syndrome. We all think, what if they find out? What if they find out that I'm not as smart as they think I am? And every single person, no matter how successful you are, relates to that. And of course, the only way that lessons as you become more successful, and what I really mean is you get validated by more people that you respect.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the most important thing. But years ago now, I love to mentor, younger people, and, just friendships, relationships that I've had over the years. And I love that. And I always start at some point really smart. And I'll say, it's okay if everyone finds out. And are you in my head? And I go, you think people are going to find out, don't you? And they go, you know what I mean, don't you? And their face. And I know because it's me, right? We've all done it. We were talking about it before, Kevin. Like, even I'd had more validation and credibility in the world for 6 years before I started Flight Club.
Yeah.
I still was nervous. Yeah. All these smart people. I know you did too, Kevin. Like, all these smart people. Like, they're so much smarter than me. You think you're faking it. Yeah. But then you realize, well, maybe I do know some stuff. And then I think that's one of the biggest things, from the beginning. One of the other big lessons that stands out, like people used to say to me, a year in, 2 years in, oh my God, how did you have such quick success? You knew nothing about the internet. But remember, I had experience in business and marketing. I just didn't rate myself on that. I'm like, I don't know anything about the internet, right? But I realized a couple of years in, I didn't make the silly mistakes that people start in their first business do, which God love the internet.
Yeah.
90% of people online, it's their first business, which is the most amazing thing about it. But as a business person in the space, it's the most frustrating part about it too, right? People don't understand basic business and communication. So I realized very early on that I actually had an advantage, not a disadvantage, because I understood fundamentals of marketing and business, but I just remember over and over and over learning the lessons, and this kind of feeds into something else. It's like, you get something right, and then the shiny object syndrome, right? Oh, done this thing, so now I'm going to do this one. Why don't I going to do this thing? And now I'm going to do this thing, and now I'm going to do this thing. And it's this was Dean Graziosi, and I didn't know him at all. This was at a Jeff Walker event at least 10 years ago. And, when the speaker is speaking to you directly, it was on this. And it was like me saying, I'm in your head. And he goes, we're all the same. He's talking to 700 people. He goes, we're all the same, right? Like, what? We're all this. Oh, no, we can just fit one more thing in. Oh, no, I can just do one more thing. I can just do that. And he said, and I always tell this story, and I've repeated it back to Dean years later. I had him speak at a Flight Club event. I said, you wouldn't remember this when you said this from stage. I'm sure it's something you say all the time. But he said, just think of it like this. We're all the same. Trust me. All entrepreneurs are the same. He goes, think of it like this. You've got 4 things going on, 5 things going on, 6 things going on. But the point is, no matter how hard you're working, you are full. Right? You're full. But what do we do? Oh, I could maybe do that other thing and maybe do that other thing. Yeah. And you don't focus, right, on anything. And you need to learn that lesson. It took me a little bit to learn it, but I learned it, well, I guess relatively quickly. But he said, think about you've got a bookshelf behind you, and every project or thing you're doing is a book, and it's full. And when the opportunity comes to you, you've got to pull a book out to put that book in. Mm-hmm. And I just went. So from that day, I used to have it on my computer. Well, 2 things: breathe. I'd have sitting right there, breathe. When you're stressed out, breathe, just stop and breathe. And the other one right at the top of my thing was, the last thing I need today is another great idea. Because for entrepreneurs, what's the most exciting thing?
Yeah, another great
idea. Yeah. Right? And, in those first few years, you're just pumping with ideas, I used to drive my marketing managers and my staff crazy. I'd go out walking in the morning and brains pumping. I'd be listening to, courses and books and whatever. And I'd go, and I'd be leaving all these messages, and now I'm frightened to give them anything else because I'm going to need to hold all this back. They're busy. Their bookshelves are full, more than full. Yeah. So I think that's really the long and the short of all that is focus.
Yeah.
Go deep, get the thing done, get it working correctly, then broaden and think about other products, other pillars, other traffic sources, but get one thing dialed in first.
Yeah.
I think I would have had, well, not I think, I know I would have had even quicker scalable success than I did if I would have done that.
Yeah. Wow. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, Glenn, I really want to thank you for taking the time to have this conversation. And I'll tell you, you've been somebody that I've looked up to and respected for, ever since we met. And it's been, I am very grateful and thankful for the relationship that we've had. And anybody that's listening to this, that is just like, dang, Kev, I like that Glen guy. I like the way he shows up, man. How can they find out more about some of the stuff you got on Fight Club or Mind Movies or whatever?
Oh, absolutely. You can, if you're a higher level entrepreneur and you're looking for a mastermind at that kind of level, it's flightclubmastermind.com. Flight, not fight, flight. Yep. Clubmastermind.com. Just go check it out. You can contact me anyway, really. I'm available on any channel. jvhacking.com is another great way if you're interested in learning more about joint ventures. You can contact me through Mind Movies. Like I said, shoot me a Facebook message, even shoot me an Instagram message. I like to be accessible, I really do. Yeah. Pretty easy, really, but they're really the main brands. And like I said, if you're in this space, the digital marketing revolution is, just type in the digital marketing revolution, you'll see a super cool trailer. Every big name, as we say in Australia, every big name and their dog's in it. And the movie is launching on Monday. So pretty exciting stuff. So thanks, Kevin and Mark. Thanks for saying that. That really humbles me. It really does.
Wow. Thank you again. And thanks again for taking the time to do this, Glenn. Really appreciate it, man.
Cheers, mate. See you, Kevin.